Hey everyone, this is Paul Gale from paulgalenetwork.com, and thank you for joining me today for video game news. It is February 18th, 2021, and these are the top stories of the day. To kick things off, earlier today we got to take a look at the first official trailer for Mortal Kombat, the upcoming movie coming out in theaters and on HBO Max this April 16th. That's just 2 months away. I did a live reaction video, which if you want to see and get a more in-depth feel of what I thought the trailer was all about, you could check out the video right above this one on my channel. But to quickly go over it, I thought it was pretty solid. Cool fight scene choreography, nice costume design, good look of actors representing their iconic roles. Got a little bit of that dun 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 classic Mortal Kombat music that was introduced in the first film in this one, but a little bit more quiet, but still noticeable and nice. It was brutal. We had some cool bloody moments, as you would expect from Mortal Kombat. A couple of interesting moments too, such as Cole and who is this character. If you didn't watch the trailer, I would recommend checking it out so you know what I'm talking about. Someone missing from the trailer that you would have thought would be in it, Johnny Cage. And a couple of surprises. I won't spoil it just in case you didn't watch it, but overall, I liked what I saw. I'm looking forward to the movie. If theaters around me are open, that's how I would prefer to watch it, obviously. Maybe go in a showtime where there are not a lot of people, a Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. or something like that, but most likely I'll be watching it at home, and that's fine. I'm just pretty impressed, pretty stoked, and kind of like how I felt with Godzilla vs. Kong. I don't really want to see too much more. I got a feeling that the movie's going to be good. Let me be surprised. We're only 2 months out. They waited this long to show it. Keep it quiet. Keep the hype high, but keep the new footage to a minimum, really, so that we will be pleasantly surprised when watching this film. Next up, this is a little bit of a rumor, but there's a lot of Konami talk, and it's regarding 3 very popular IP, all 3 of which I'm a big fan of, and that is Castlevania, Metal Gear Solid, and Silent Hill. And I'll talk about the last one first. Silent Hill in particular, it appears that Konami has outsourced it within the last couple of years to a couple of different parties, and they're working on a brand new Silent Hill game together. Different companies working on different elements of the game. At least this is what appears to be going on behind the scenes. And it would be for next-gen consoles, potentially current generation systems as well. And by current gen, I really should say last gen, because now the new current gen is Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5, and Nintendo Switch. Last gen is officially Xbox One, PS4, and Wii U. So to clarify, current gen and last gen consoles is what Silent Hill is reportedly being in development for. That could change. It might not even be in development, but it sure looks like it is. We haven't had a Silent Hill in a long time. I would definitely welcome it back as long as it's done in a competent manner, but good to see Konami working on it. I know that the images that you see here are very different than what you would expect, but this is Konami.com's page, so give them some credit, right? They're, after all, the parents of these 3 IP. And moving on into Metal Gear Solid and Castlevania, similar rumor that Konami has outsourced these games to at least a developer each, if not a couple, but they're farther away from coming out, so don't necessarily expect to hear from them any official reports, whereas Silent Hill we may hear about as early as this summer. But Metal Gear Solid and Castlevania, those 2 I hold in even higher regard than I do Silent Hill, because I was a fan of those for a longer amount of time, dating earlier back in my video gaming. Gosh, Castlevania, to have a new title, especially with the hit Castlevania Netflix series and just most Castlevania games being pretty good hits in my opinion, would be great. I would prefer a 2D stylish, Metroidvania-like game. Metal Gear Solid, that's kind of tricky because you're not going to have Hideo Kojima on board anymore. And, do you take it in the direction of Metal Gear Solid 5 and have it this open world title, or you keep it kind of closer and more tight knit like MGS4 or 2, something in between? Is it going to be farthest along in the series? Is it going to take place at some other point? Will it be a reboot yet again? I don't know. But I hope it's handled well. And I would also personally like to hear David Hayter back on board voicing Snake, but who knows? Will Solid Snake be in it? So much is unknown. All three of these are technically rumors. I thought I would just talk about it, give a little bit of hope, a little bit of a grain of salt, if you will, into thinking that something of this nature, something of this story is probably true. And hey, if and when it does come out, whether something gets officially shown off by Konami this summer or later on, it would be really nice to look back to February 18th and say, we were right. Good thing that we talked about it. That was fun. And here is the product. All right, that's enough of that though. A little bit longer than I wanted to talk about regarding just a rumor, but still, I'm excited. I'm holding hope that all three are happening. Moving on, the last bit of gaming news today. It is Thursday, so courtesy of ResetEra.com and Chris1964 who put this together, we get to look at the Famitsu sales for week 7 of 2021. This covers February 8th through the 14th. Coming in at number 1, we knew it was going to be this. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, selling at least physically 250,018 copies. That's 250,000 for the first couple of days. Physical only, Japan only. Safe to say the game is already well over 1 million worldwide for that opening weekend, and well deserved. Is a blast. At number 2, finally Momotaro Dentetsu got knocked off his number 1 spot, but still number 2 is not bad at all, with 46,638 copies sold. Little Nightmares 2 on Nintendo Switch's 3. I just downloaded the demo specifically on Nintendo Switch, and it's a really good demo. They really captured that spooky feeling of the first one, and it looks even better. And that's at number 3 with 24,470. I'll probably have to buy the game because I was pretty impressed. At number 4, Ring Fit Adventure with 24,261 copies sold. At number 5, getting close to being a year old on these charts, Animal Crossing New Horizons with 16,379 copies sold. At number 6, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, 16,354. And number 7, Little Nightmares 2 on PlayStation 4. It fared well with a debut of 11,163, but look at that. The Nintendo Switch version is a little bit over double. Third-party developers, pay attention. If you handle a Nintendo Switch version of a game well, with respect, and there's not too great of a difference in terms of overall visual quality and stuff, probably your Nintendo Switch game, that version is going to sell better than on opposing platforms, because that attractiveness is undeniable to have it on TV and at home. At TV and on the go. Number 8, Minecraft on Nintendo Switch with 10,139 copies sold. Number 9, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate with 10,087. And at number 10, the combination of Pokemon Sword and Shield with 8,324 copies sold, which is kind of wild that it's a 0% differential from the previous week. The top 10 look as follows: 9 for Nintendo Switch, 1 for PlayStation 4. And I also wanted to say one other interesting thing about this, specifically about Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. If you just look at that 250,000, it's the 6th best opening weekend of any 3D Mario ever. That's dating all the way back to Super Mario 64, looking at Sunshine, Galaxy, Galaxy 2, talking about Odyssey, 3D World on Wii, 3D Land, going over all of these 3D Mario games over the years. including 3D All-Stars, you know, 3DS's, or sorry, the DS's version of Super Mario 64. This is the 6th best all-time opening weekend. That's already pretty good on the charts, but you go into digital territory, which we don't know about just yet what that split was. This game, instead of being the 6th, very likely is somewhere between 2 to 4th. I would say that it's definitely 5th, definitely 4th, really could be 3rd or 2nd. So I hope to find out from Nintendo what the sales were in its opening weekend, what it's out now, because I don't know if they're going to release it, but it would be really interesting to see earlier than later so that we could get some kind of prediction going on of what this game is going to do lifetime. Because if it sold half and half, and if it really did 500,000 opening weekend, then that's just a blockbuster. That's the second best-selling 3D Mario game for an opening weekend ever. And even if it didn't do that, you know, like I said, it could really end up in that top 3 spot even. Moving into hardware, this is nice to see. A respectable 88,000 units of Nintendo Switch were sold last week, but this week, 109,000. That's a significant improvement. It's also a significant improvement, big time, over last year's 80,000. In comparison, this 109 is much better, and that's in part because we got Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury and that new red and blue Nintendo Switch. Pretty sweet. PS5 at number 2, a better stock than the previous week, much better, from 13,000 to 22,890. PS4 at number 3 with 4,407, 3DS at number 4 with 797, and Xbox Series brand of consoles at 136. Something interesting to take away is specifically I want to pay attention to, and sometimes I don't go into the lower charts because I focus on the pure numbers, but this I couldn't help but look at the divide between PlayStation 5s and PlayStation 5 digital editions is mind-blowing. How much is being shipped to Japan? Could this be what they see as the interest, and that's why they're shipping it out as such? 22,000 for the week of PS5 disc-based versions were shipped, and 554 standard non-disc versions, all digital versions. You can see last week, also a big split. You can see the year-to-date, also a big split, 10 to 1, and the lifetime to date, very big split. If you look over the Xbox Series X and S territory, it's kind of all over the place. 87-49, and then it got flipped last week, 106-208. If you look at the year, 1.5 difference. If you look at the all-time though so far, which is still just a few months old, you are looking once again X as the clear winner. But within the weeks and within the year so far, sort of all over the place. We'll see how close these end up. We'll see how close these end up. And my picture is blocking in the moment the Nintendo Switch portion, but Nintendo Switch versus Lite, you're looking at 88 on the Switch, 21 for the Lite. Last week, once again, more by about triple. The previous week, or the previous year, for this week, it was very flipped. Nintendo Switch Lite was higher. Year to date, though, Switch in the lead. Last year, Switch was in the lead at this point. And overall, lifetime to date, Switch definitely in the lead. But you also got to consider Nintendo Switch has been on the market longer than the Nintendo Switch Lite in terms of lifetime date sales. But yeah, overall a pretty exciting week for hardware. It will be interesting to see how Nintendo Switch fares next week because there's stock talk, there's how many red, blue units are left, but then there's also the hype coming up to Monster Hunter. And speaking of Monster Hunter, I don't have a graphic on it, but we're getting a few Monster Hunter specific direct presentations and special days for the community by Capcom throughout March in the lead up to March 26th. I would like to see, personally, Nintendo Switch hang in that 90 to 105,000 for a few consecutive weeks until we hit March 26th, because that's going to be a mind-blowing day. That week's going to be huge. And I think Monster Hunter will carry the system well into April and beyond. Of course, April we got new Pokemon Snap, but yeah, no visual graphic on that. But expect 3 designated days worth of presentations from Capcom for Monster Hunter Rise, and getting some Monster Hunter stories too, even in March before the 26th. All right, that's going to do it today for Video Game News with Paul Gale Network. Thank you for watching with me. I hope you all have a good rest of your day. I'll see you next time. Bye. Okay, so I decided to get that graphic for you because I didn't want to just talk about Monster Hunter without the graphic. So I'm back one more time. Here's what I was talking about. March 8th at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we're getting a Monster Hunter digital event. March 9th, we're getting, also at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, new Monster Hunter Rise gameplay and hunting tutorials and director Q&A. And then March 11th, this timing we will find out soon when it will be, but it will be a community live stream. So the 8th, the 9th, and the 11th, 3 different dates. We'll have some Monster Hunter Rise, some Monster Hunter Stories 2, Wings of Ruin, talk, video presentations, live stream, Q&A. Should be some fun digital event and some fun gameplay, and I'm excited. So that's the official closing now for the day. Thanks again. Bye.